One.
Do Dirty Mo Live. Hey everybody, welcome back to Dirty Mo Live. I'm Tiff Powers, head of content here at Dirty Mo Media, and I am with Mike Davis, our president and executive producer of Dirty Mo Media. What's up, Mike?
How are you doing, Tiff?
Great.
It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here today. You know, Tiff has never been on Dirty Mo Live. Is this your first time being on Dirty Mo Live?
Well, I had talked on the social producing
That's
side
right.
last time, but my face hasn't been on Dirty Mo Live.
I just want to say for everybody that's going to watch this, and by the way, Dale Jr. is in the building. He'll make his way down here eventually. But the fact is that Tiff has been with us for a couple months, and like November, I think you came in, beginning of November. Man, not sure what we were doing without you, frankly, Tiff. So I'm glad that everybody gets to finally meet you, at least everybody here on Dirty Mo Live, because you are an important part of this. And I got to be honest with you, I feel good about your hosting abilities. I mean, I think that we sort of guilted you into this a little bit.
Definitely guilted into it. Definitely a lot of pressure, I guess, now
Yeah.
that I get to, host the first time that I'm on, but it's fine.
I wanted to have you on today because you've been very involved in the thing we announced.
Yeah.
We
made
rolled
some
it out.
news
Yeah, we
last
rolled it
night.
out last night with a video that the team put together. Well done. And we also then put out some official press release today.
Yep.
And that was that Denny Hamlin is going to be joining us on the podcast lineup this year with his own podcast.
Pretty exciting.
I mean, I'm telling you, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
And yet it's been, you can back me up on this, it's been an enjoyable experience so far, hasn't it?
It has.
Building
yeah.
this with Denny.
Absolutely. He's been amazing.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hijack this. This is your show. Dale will hijack it when he gets here.
Right.
But we haven't gone live this year, I think, and so
Nope.
we were due to do that, and then not a bad way of
Yeah.
coming
Starting
and talking
off
to the
big
listeners.
in
Yep.
2023.
That's right.
So you were actually working on this deal before I even started.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to hear how this all came about. I'd also like to hear Dale's perspective of it, but he'll get here when he.
We
gets
might actually have different stories. It'd be interesting to hear how he remembers all this stuff. But I will say that Jason Schultz is going to be monitoring the YouTube chat, and I want to hear from
let's
you
get
guys
some
in the chat
quick
as well.
reactions
Well, the
from-
fact of the matter is that I would assume that many of the folks that are on the chat probably remember when Denny was on the download. And I would say that the day we wanted Denny Hamlin to do a podcast for Dirty Mo Media was the day he was on the download. He was so good.
That was a really good episode.
He had not left the studio before Dale and I started putting the hard court or the full court press on him about doing his own show.
Nice.
That's the day it started. And you can go back and listen to that episode of the download. Anybody that wants to hear it, he was opinionated as we knew he would be, but he was also pretty calculated and charismatic, and you didn't feel like it was fake, and those are the things you're looking for.
Right.
And I said, you know what? The world needs a Denny Hamlin podcast. That's when it started.
Denny's smart and thoughtful in his opinions and not afraid to say them.
Exactly.
If he knows people may not always agree.
And he gave us tons of content on the download and door bumper clear. Like he was
Right.
literally almost every week in the story.
Yeah. And
him and
numbers
Ross
were incredible.
What's it? Oh,
Numbers
yeah.
were incredible anytime he was on, not to mention the news he was making even when he wasn't a guest.
So,
on the podcast.
I tell you what, I think this is an opportunity for Dirty Mo to have a new vantage point. You've got the old timers and me and Dale, and Dale obviously his opinion matters more than everybody. I think this is probably him coming in. Come on in, welcome. We're just talking about you actually.
Good timing.
Y'all were talking, huh?
Yeah, she's asking about when did we come up with the idea to put Denny Hamlin on a podcast. I'm curious on what your version of that is, because I think I know, but I'm wondering what you think.
I think I don't remember when we kind of first started talking about it, but I know that when by the way, hey everybody. Good morning. I I think when we had him on as a guest, and how typically you have a driver on, you have an owner on, you have whoever on, baseball player, whatever. They have a lane, and you talk about whatever that person's experience is. With Denny, he's a driver, he's an owner, he's into all kinds of things, and there's a lot of intrigue and sort of mixed signals that come from him at times. He's got an opinion about everything. Now, he doesn't always voice his opinion about everything, but when he comes in this room, he's pretty open and pretty loose and ready to go. A lot of guys sit down and they kind of got to learn. They got to kind of feel it out and get to where, okay, this is a safe place, so I can start. I can really kind of be honest. Denny's kind of like that out of the chute. He's just kind of that guy. He doesn't mind, and I think he kind of likes to say a few things that are going to get people's attention and raise some eyebrows.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, when he's been on Door Bumper Clear, he's been sensational. So during those experiences, him coming in our studio and at Door Bumper Clear, I think it was obvious that, if he wanted to get involved on this type of a platform, that he would have good success with it. So I think too, people are always wondering, like, okay, he's pretty open about what he's doing. We know how he thinks about this and that and the other at the racetrack and as an owner, and people want to know more about his ownership experience with Michael Jordan and his other partners and his drivers and the changes they're making and anything, other things about Denny's own personal life. People are curious.
Yeah.
And Denny's gonna get more and more comfortable, I think, as this goes. Sharing a little bit. Other thing too is, and we talked about this a little bit over the last couple of days, is I'll be curious to see how he navigates the challenge of trying to be honest, trying to share. Hey, I got a feeling about this particular situation. It involves another driver or other drivers or something that happened at the racetrack. Maybe Denny's not even part of it. Something happens on the racetrack, something NASCAR does, something another driver does, and he may want to share or talk about it, right? And he's got to walk a fine line. But it's going to be hard for Denny because Denny's also not going to talk about something if he can't be completely honest about it. And so that's going to be interesting to me. I always felt like when I got into broadcast, I was like, man, I got to call these guys out. That's uncomfortable, man. That's awkward. If I think a guy made a mistake and that's my buddy, and I got to go, hey, I don't agree with what he just did, or that was dumb, that move, or why didn't he do this? And Denny's going to have to experience that. Mm-hmm. And so it'll be fun I'm going to be entertained just kind of watching him kind of navigate that a little bit. But I don't know what he's going to share with us.
Well, she has an idea.
I don't think
I'm excited about that.
Being entertained is going to be a problem that we have with this podcast. Yeah. And I also don't think he's going to hesitate to bring it on the podcast, just based on the 2 pilots that we did.
So let's talk about that. Have y'all talked about the pilots?
No.
We haven't.
So there's been 2 pilots. So typically, you hear about, somebody shooting a pilot. When I hear that, I think it's like kind of like a test run, right?
Right.
And so why did y'all shoot 2 with Denny?
Well, the first one we used as a pilot and kind of a production day with him. Obviously, he's never had his own podcast before, so it was a little bit of practice, things like opening the show, closing the show, kind of feeling out. We threw some things at him to see how he handled it, which he and Jared both did an amazing job. So that was really encouraging right off the bat. But we kept that first one pretty short, and we kind of told them, we don't have to actually use anything from this. Mm-hmm. The second pilot we did in the same location where the podcast studio is going to be, and gave them a chance to practice as if it was a real show and go through the full thing. So they did a full, 45-minute to hour-long podcast. And that one we will probably use some audio from that you guys might hear to get the RSS feed started for his podcast. So you might get to hear a little bit of that one. And then we'll be dropping a bunch of teaser clips. But the first one, too, being at the end of the season, he was kind of looking back on some things. And it's a little bit harder when you're recalling things that happened a month ago.
Yeah.
And this one, there was a lot of news that's been happening recently that he could speak on. So it was pretty interesting to hear what he had to say.
Yeah, I know when he comes in here to do one, download during the year or goes on Door Bumper Clear once a year or twice a year, it's easy to kind of go in there and dust it up a little bit and shake it up a little bit and say some controversial things because you're gonna wash your hands clean of it after a couple days and that's the end of it, right? But if this is going to be a reoccurring show,
Yep.
It's going to be, all right, man, this was your opinion last week. This is what's happened. This is what's been said. This is what's been done. And those conversations continue, right, throughout the year. So it's going to be fun to watch him, go through this process. I think he'll grow a lot from it. I think it'll help him a lot personally. And the reaction from it's been great. As far as I'm excited for Dirty Mo Media, I'm excited for Denny because I think a lot of drivers could benefit from things like this. This is absolutely sort of engaging with fans and having a one-on-one or a direct line of communication with the fan base, which is something we all need to be doing more of, but.
And you mentioned fans and the reaction that we got from fans. We'll send it to Jason for a minute because he's got a lot of fan reaction comments for us.
I don't know if we. I mean,
You're ready, man.
y'all
You're
hear me?
going.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Sounds good. I think we got more reaction to this than any other announcement we've had
Yeah.
ever. So it was a mixed bag of stuff. One really funny comment Kelly Taylor sent us. She wants to know, Dale, whether you'll have a personal seat in the NASCAR hauler this year to go back and forth when Denny and DBC, take turns getting chewed out in there.
Yeah, I think that no matter what kind of trouble the guys get themselves into, I have no problem sitting down in the room with anybody that wants to talk to them, whether it's NASCAR or anybody. And while I've had a lot of conversations with I've had a couple conversations with some execs at NASCAR, and while they may not love everything that happens in the media and or happens on a podcast, it's sort of this necessary thing, right? To have shows out there, just have chatter and have conversation and different opinions and different viewpoints. And so, while I think Door Bumper Clear is a great example of that, and I don't think that Denny's ever going to kind of get into some of the controversies.
I don't either.
I don't think he'll get into the type of controversies or challenges that we see with Door Bumper Clear from time to time.
No.
Denny will be a lot more measured and less by the seat of his pants, I think. So he's definitely going to be more calculated.
That's a
And-
great word for him. He's calculated.
Yeah.
I mean, but he's not going to be any more cavalier on a podcast than he is on Twitter. And, every week he was putting stuff on Twitter. I think all of those things are calculated.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
And he'll tell you too. A lot of times he's wrong, and a lot of times he makes some. He's trying to be. He's trying to maneuver and maybe make maybe regrets a decision or a choice or something he says. But anyways, he's never dull, and I think it's there's a lot of great podcasts out there, but man, this is exactly what our the sport of NASCAR needs. Some of the big names hosting, being the host and the lead of their own platform and their own podium, and so we're fortunate to have that opportunity with Denny I was really excited to kind of go to bat for the Door Bumper Clear guys and say, hey man, this you might not like what they said, but dang man, look at the fan engagement, look at the stories and the conversations it creates, and Yeah, they'll tell you they're wrong a lot of times, or make mistakes or misspeak. But that show is valuable. That show is necessary. Door bumper clear. And so, and I'll tell all the guys. I'll tell Denny that we stand behind our host, and we stand behind what they do, and nobody's perfect. We all misspeak and make mistakes, and you handle it and own it in the moment. But yeah,
I want to expand on that. That's a good point. The fact of the matter, when you said Denny can own his mistakes, like when he's wrong, he'll say he's wrong. That's what we want here at Dirty Mo Media. Like, we don't want to say, these superficial assholes that we, that are just going to sit there and say company line and this, that, and the other. It's not that we're out trying to go, be the antithesis of that. It's just saying we just like people that can, own their flaws. You and I do it almost every week, don't we? We try. I don't, people get mad at us or, talk crap about us or anything. What you see is what you get, right? And that's the way Door Bumper Clear is. That is the way Denny Hamlin's going to be. I don't want anybody else that's going to sit there and be so measured that they're not enjoying it, and that also can't just say, I was wrong. Denny Hamlin is more like the common man than anybody else gives him credit for, because he is that. He can be opinionated. He's not going to let other people tell him how to speak or what to do. He's very clever in how he presents himself. He's charismatic about it, but he also owns his mistakes. He is imperfect. That is what I like about him, and that because that's consistent with everybody else that we got here.
And he's having fun with this. Like, he came up with his show name, Actions Detrimental, and he'll tell us more about why he picked that name. But his goal with this podcast isn't an attack on NASCAR. He's more invested than anyone in making sure NASCAR is successful. He owns a NASCAR Cup Series team, but he's also not afraid to bring up his opinion on things going on in the sport. And that's why we're all going to be listening to his podcast.
I don't want to give away too much, but the fact, Dale, do you know what his what the pictures he's going to have on his set? Have I told you that? Let's just say there's a lot of self-deprecating stuff on it, right?
Sure.
Like where it's more to the tone that Denny.
I'm excited about, obviously listening to Denny's, weekly gauge on ownership and, charters and the discussion and debate about new TV deals and all that stuff. We're going to hear some great commentary about all those things as we sort of navigate through that as a sport. But one of the other things, too, that I think will be really, really incredible, and Denny may be already thinking about this or open to it. Mike, maybe you've talked to him about this. I would love to see Denny interviewing and conversating with current drivers, particularly over, similar to what we kind of do here. Like, I would love to see him and Joey sit down and go over the Martinsville incident, or him and Chase, same thing, going over the Martinsville incident, or
Ross, him and Ross.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, him and Ross would need a couple weeks. So. And I know that maybe the current drivers, maybe Denny probably is more open to that than the guys on the other side of it, right? They got it. They're they might not want to come in here or go into Denny's space and open up about those things. But because guys are weird while they're still competing on the racetrack, there's sort of this arm's length kind of thing. But once you get out of the car and retire, you're like, yeah, let's talk about this, man. Why did we act like that?
Right.
But I would love to have Denny, debating with current competition, and interviewing those guys, and hopefully that's possible for him. I really think that the possibilities of who he can be in the room with and talking to, the entertainment there is endless.
I told Denny the idea you had, still the best idea that we've not actually implemented, but Dale had this idea, Tiff, where for a segment on the download, he calls up people that wrecked him back in the days and asked if they're ready to apologize to him yet.
Yeah.
And when I told that to Denny, he died laughing. But the point I was making to Denny, and I think he agrees with it, and this is to the point you just made, Dale, I was like, man, listen, Denny, you're competitive, and you're gonna want to be as competitive with podcasting as you are as a race car driver. Just know there's a clear pathway to a win in a podcast, and that is you iron out your differences on it.
Yeah.
You know, with these guys, and you have you have enough of run-ins in a year that you can make a pretty good show that way. If you're willing to do that, and you're right, they may not be willing to do it with him, and maybe it takes a little time, right? Maybe Ross or Chase, they weren't ready right away, but in time, maybe that is a mechanism in which they use to kind of iron out stuff. I think we all win if that happens, right?
It'd be gold.
We just go sit back and let it play.
Right.
Let it play, just watch, right? Because we all win. And that's what I think. I think you'll see that
I hope
for
so.
sure.
Yeah, I think fans, I've seen a lot of feedback on social media is fans really would like to see that. I think Denny's open to it, especially once he gets in the groove, gets several shows under his belt, starts to start thinking about, man, this would be fun, that would be fun. He's not even gotten to that point yet. Once you do the podcast for several shows, you start to realize, man, there's all kinds of fun things we could do, and you want to do all of them. But I always thought that would be funny, just have a phone sitting there and call somebody. Like, the one that really sticks out to me is there's a door on the wall over here from an Xfinity race in 1996, my very first Xfinity race at Myrtle Beach. And Jason Keller, we've talked about this before. Jason Keller comes down the track, and I spun out. And Jason had the funny part about it is that Jason would be so caught off guard if I called him and said, "Hey man, you ready?" To finally apologize for that.
What the hell are you talking about?
What are you talking about? That wasn't my fault.
Yeah, that wasn't my fault.
And he would be like, "I don't even remember that really." And that's the funny part about it is like we're holding on to these things we should have let go years and years ago. But drivers do that. I was talking to somebody on social media the other day about the block on Vickers on the back straightaway at Daytona. They're in the 500 that wrecked the field. And I'm like, when I think
what an
people
asshole.
people are like, man, that was a moment as a fan of yours. That was a moment where I'm like, what the hell are you doing? That's stupid. And I'm like, you know what? I think I still get pissed off when I think about the block.
Yes.
And
oh, they're mad at you?
yeah, they're mad at me. As my fan or watching me race, they're like, what are you doing? That was dumb. You wrecked the field. That was a dumb move. And I'm like, no, the block. I'm still pissed about the block.
Vickers.
So hearing all this stuff from Denny, he's going to have so many stories because absolutely he's gotten himself into some physical and verbal battles on and off the racetrack, and a lot that people don't even know about. There's this driver conversation that's always happening. The drivers have organized to where they communicate a lot more, weekly, and there's conversations that they have, and the quips and jabs that go around that I've seen years ago. Denny's always kind of most of the time in the middle of that kind of stuff. And he kind of holds people accountable in a really smart aleck, annoying kind of way. And that's just how Denny can be. He knows how to push buttons. He knows how to get under your skin. He knows exactly what to say to you that's going to annoy you and bother you. But when he wants to, he can be that way. But
you know what else we call that? Podcast gold.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Well, I'm excited about it. I think I think he could have a massive success as a host of a show. I think we're going to give him great opportunity with our foundation and to get going and get the experience that he needs. And he'll be smooth sailing in no time. And like everybody's been saying, it's going to be must listen to content. It'll be a great source for, right out of the horse's mouth, from a driver's point of view, owner's point of view. He's got so many things he's involved in. He's got a great perspective on a lot of things. Don't always agree with everything he says, but he certainly gets you thinking about it, like hearing a different point of view or something.
That's right.
Other way of looking at
Yep.
things.
He'll be a great source for us
Yeah.
because, his show's going to come out on Mondays. And
That was another thing I thought about Mike is, one of the things that I love about one of the things I wish we did more of is had a bit of a indirect line of debate with show to show. Like sometimes we do that. Sometimes we talk about something on Door Bumper Clear that either they got right or we think they got wrong. And I would love to have that kind of navigating talking us kind of having if it's relevant, have an opinion about what Denny's talking about or what Denny shared on his show. Him, all of us sort of trading opinions and thoughts about certain current things that are happening in the sport as the week goes on. So I think that's always fun. I always like to hear what the guys at Door Clear are saying and thinking. I like to, whether I agree with it or not, it makes me consider my own opinion about it, and I think that creates a good conversation too. So now we've got another bone to chew on there, and a show that's going to create a lot of chatter with Denny, and pretty. I think also, how will the Door Clear guys play off of that show a little bit? That'll be fun.
Yeah. Hey, Denny. One of the things I got a bunch of random thoughts here. One of the things that Denny I appreciated about him was that when we were talking about even just the possibility of doing a podcast, he was already concerned about what that meant for Door Bumper Clear or what it meant for the Download or any of our other shows, frankly. And I said, it's not a problem. And he goes, well, if I'm going to be, talking about the previous race, that's exactly what Door Bumper Clear does. And I said, the way I see this is if you were a spotter or if they were drivers, then we have a problem. Mm-hmm. Everyone has such a unique vantage point. You in the booth, me watching on TV, Denny in the driver's seat, those guys up on the roof, and I think we got it covered. I think we got that covered, right? Like I think that, and I think that you could come out with 4 different viewpoints, vantage points, perspectives, and I think that's a beautiful thing, right?
For sure. But I think there are two. What I think is also sometimes Door Bumper Clear will talk about something I wasn't even gonna include in my Dirty Air segment.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, like they'll spur
a
thought, and you'll go, "Did you hear this? Did you hear there? I heard this too." And how do you feel about that? Man, I mean, as a broadcaster, to be quite honest with you, man, as a broadcaster, there is so much. Gossip is really not the right word, but there's so much conversation about, did you hear what this guy's going to do? Hey, you know what I heard? You know what I thought? Exactly what Door Bumper Clear is based off of. The chatter and the rumor mill happening on top of that spotter stand. It is unlike anything else. It's as juicy as it gets. And so the broadcasting booth can kind of be similar to that at times when there's really good drama happening within the sport. And, a lot of times they say things, I'll be in the booth and we'll be like, hey, man, did you hear this? I heard that too. I'm not going to talk about it on my show. But then Door Bumper Clear talks about it. I'm like, whoa, they got more information than I have.
Yeah.
Or hey, I'll call Steve Letarte and I go, do you know what I heard about that?
Right.
I got some new information. And that is fun.
Yeah.
That is really, really fun because, a great example is like the Reddick, Kyle Busch, all the who was going where, what was going to happen. That was a good time to be hanging around the water cooler, so to speak.
Yeah.
And man, when we have that going on in the sport, a Denny Hamlin point of view is going to be pretty entertaining.
Yeah, for sure.
Think about that. Think about if Denny was doing this podcast last year, right?
Yep.
The Chastain thing's going on, right?
Yep.
Hearing all that. All the stuff happening with Reddick and his own race team.
His own race team.
Right?
Kurt Busch, Reddick.
Incredible.
Storylines everywhere.
Yeah. That would have been, imagine the shows and the comments and the thoughts and things we would have heard.
It's been fantastic. Let's see what people are saying from YouTube.
A lot of guest ideas already. Michael Jordan's top of the list.
For sure. I mean, we had him on our list.
He's on it.
He's been on it forever.
Yeah.
Knowing damn good and well we probably never going to get him in here. And that's going to be how it happens. Denny's going to be the one that gets that done.
Yeah.
And then Brad Keselowski, Danica, Carl Edwards, some other drivers. Maybe some people he's had history with. It could be interesting.
100%.
But did y'all see what he tweeted, his first tweet about the show? Did y'all see that yet?
Yeah, I did.
Well, I did, but go ahead and mention it.
Yeah, Denny tweeted, I want to thank Dale Jr. and Mike Davis for this opportunity and the fat check they had to write me to do it. I figured with all the spare time I had, why not? So is that true? Did you have to write that fat check?
A lot of sarcasm in there.
Yeah. He told us he was going to donate it back to the foundation.
I think he needs to put it in the bank for the potential fines coming down the road.
Yeah, I told him, I said, look, before we're done, you're going to end up being most popular driver. You know that, right? And he goes, I think I'm going to put $1 million on the under.
Yeah,
But that is a fun. We had this idea for him. It's like Denny,
We do.
go do a segment where you are literally going to go win every fan, one fan at a time. It's a fan engagement where you go and call them up. The ones that hate you, the ones that go out and say it, want you to know that I don't like Denny Hamlin.
Yep.
There's a few out there, and call them up and try to win them over.
Yep.
And he says I'll do it.
Yeah, he hasn't turned down an idea
I
yet.
know, right? Maybe that's a segment we come up with, and that's what come up with such an asinine idea to see if Denny will turn it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
So
will
far
he
he
say
has
no
it.
to?
What will he
Where's
say
the
no to?
line?
Yeah, where's the Denny line? Right. All right, what else there, Jason?
They were asking this, people that missed it, when will the show be dropping, and is it a weekly after every race show?
It's a great question.
Tiff,
The
you
first
take it.
one is dropping February 6th, and it will be a weekly after every race show dropping on Mondays for the entire NASCAR season.
to make a lot of people happy.
Dale, listen to this. I went to those guys and I said, hey, you can't do February 6th. I just realized that's literally the day after the LA Clash. And I said, and that's a night race on the West Coast. And Denny's like, no, that is our start date. And I'm like, when are you going to do it? He might actually do it at 3:00 in the morning. In fact, our producer, our new guy, Travis over here, I don't even want to talk to him about what his schedule might be
No.
because he might move back to Nashville.
All we can
But
say
the
is sorry.
Sorry, Travis. But Travis, the fact of the matter is that Denny is so into this. Like he's going to come back from LA and tape immediately, possibly in the middle of the night.
So give us an idea. I believe it when I see it, but give us an idea of what this studio is going to look like. And can we clue in on maybe where it is, and so people can kind of know.
I'm looking
start
at
to-
Tiff.
I know we're
People-
we're looking at each other.
People could start to sort of formulate their imagination and you know,
Tiff, what can we say?
The room-
I don't think I want to say the I want Denny.
don't have
Yeah.
to say
That's
that. If you
his-
don't want to say
That's
location,
it,
don't.
yeah.
But the room in the atmosphere is critical, right?
Okay.
So what are we going to have?
I think we can talk about that.
All right.
All right. So this is what I'll say. Denny knows what he wants.
Yep.
and it surprised us all. And so, first of all, the first thing he gave me in terms of insight into what he wants a studio is this set right here. He goes, I love the way the Dirty Mo live set is a little darker. And I'm like, but we have this thing lit up like a Christmas tree. And he goes, no, but it's like it's dark in a masculine way. And so from that, we ended up basically going with a speakeasy.
Yep.
All right.
A speakeasy, like a cigar room or like, kind of a hangout lounge and, no windows, nothing like that. But that's, I think, the goal. And so far, Tiff, would you say we're
Who's
Yeah.
introduce or explain his co-host? He's
That's
going
a
to do
good-
this
that's-
with someone else.
It's a good question.
yeah.
So Jared Allen, his social media guy, is going to be his co-host. We have learned a lot about Jared, I would say, over the past few weeks. First of all, he's very good on there. Does not hesitate to follow up on questions, challenge Denny on things, travels with him every week. So he's going to have great behind-the-scenes access of things he can call out for us on the show.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really interesting. And Jared also had a little bit of a podcast background, so he kind of knows how things work.
So that's what we really need in a co-host is somebody that can, at times when necessary, hold Denny accountable.
Absolutely.
And you think that's going to be pretty easy.
I do.
Yeah.
We weren't sure until the
We weren't
pilots,
sure, yeah.
frankly.
That was pilot test number 1. Was
Yeah, we were
our
gonna-
first time meeting Jared and
That's
seeing
right.
how he was going to do. So, and he crushed it.
People
Yeah.
are already confusing Jared with Jared Allen, the football player, and Jared's
Yeah.
like, I get that a lot, but I think some people might think it might be that.
Not
Not
the same.
that Jared Allen.
Not the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jared is definitely like part of Denny's inner circle, somebody he confides in a lot. And they hold each other accountable, frankly.
For
Like
sure.
there's times when Denny's not happy with something that Jared might have posted
Posted.
on a social media account of his, and he calls him out on it.
Is the show going to be guest driven? I mean, is it going to be a guest every week or?
We've been trying to encourage him not to have it be guest driven right off the bat. Not that he can't have guests, and he probably will.
Yeah.
He can do whatever he
I
wants
think
with
that's
it.
good too. Yeah.
But the goal is not initially for it to be guest driven. We want to hear his perspective on the race, his perspective as an owner on things going on in the sport, and not have him need to play interviewer at the start.
I'll be honest. I think as somebody excited about the show, and hearing what the show's going to be like, I don't think I want to guess out of the gate, and I really kind of want to see, everything Denny can bring to the table without, something else getting in the way. The guest segment, it would be great down the road when, like we say, we want to have him talking to other drivers, or,
Right.
Other cool guests that he wants us to get to know. But right out of the gate, I really kind of just want to see, what Denny's going to be like as a host.
We're building the set to give him the flexibility to have anybody he wants on,
Absolutely.
more than just him and Jared. So, but yeah, I think that
You know what?
Tiff's right.
Going back to the very first question you asked me, Mike, I don't know if we talked about this on the show. Kind of when we had Denny on here, was it last year?
Yeah,
So
April of
okay.
last year, May.
I saw him. Me and him got into a bit of a conversation, and I was like, "Hey, man, I might take a week off. I was really wanting." So I've had this idea of doing a test of like just not being here 1 week, and who could host the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like Steve Letarte would be great, but when Denny came on, I thought, no, that's perfect. Denny should host this show. I'm gonna miss a week. I'm gonna go take my family somewhere, and Denny's gonna be in the chair. And he was like, "Dang right, I'd do it." And I'm like, "Man, we need to do it. That would be cool." And we never did. We never buckled down and made it happen.
And I feel like I'm a little bit to blame for that.
That's okay. But I think for me, that's when it really got went to hearing his.
That's right.
Hearing his like reaction to, yeah, of course I would do that. That would be awesome. I'd love to host it. I was like, wait a minute, I don't know. It's like kind of giving the keys.
That's right.
Of your hot rod to your buddy, and you're like, this was a great idea until I actually have to hand you the keys. Now I'm not so
Oh,
sure.
so did you think you started walking back?
I didn't walk it back, but I was starting to think.
Okay.
He was a little too eager. A little bit too eager. He might bring it back with some dents.
That's
but
funny.
that's when it started to dawn on me. I was like, man, you really want to do this? You should have your own show. And he was like, oh, I don't know. That's a lot of commitment. What does that really mean? How hard do you work, right? That was his whole question.
That's how I remember it.
Yeah.
That's how I remember it. We started planting the seed. He probably felt jokingly that we were planting the seed. He had not even left this studio yet when we were like, all right, when you're ready to do your own podcast, let us know. I was serious. But then when you started talking about having him fill in your seat while you would take off, my thought, I loved the idea in theory. I didn't love the fact that I didn't feel like that was the best use of Denny or you. One is the Dale Jr. Download as a brand needs one person, and it happens to be the one whose name is in the title.
I agree with that.
No. I know what you're saying. But the other thing I've said is like, Denny would actually be good for his own podcast. And then if he was doing his own podcast, then it makes even more sense to use him in a fill-in role. If, like it would be the DBC guys or something like that, we can kind of musical chair it, right? But the fact is that I just felt that I had bigger ideas with Denny, and it wasn't just to fill in, whenever we want to take a week off.
Yeah, I mean, we have to take weeks off. There's just no way around it. And I hate the show. I hate the idea of the show not happening because we are not there. And even if it's not the same show with the same people, I'd like there to be a show created, regardless of who's here in the room.
We've talked about that.
Yeah, we have. We went around and around on it. I mean, Dan Patrick and his guys, there's been times when other people were in the room, right?
Yeah.
And Dan's gone. And they continue to provide a service, right? They provide some content, whether you love it or, you definitely rather have Dan sitting there doing it. But
we ought to ask the YouTube. Listen, if anybody wants to recommend who sits in when we take off weeks,
substitute.
by all means, let Jason know in the chat.
Yeah.
Jason can
Kyle
tell.
Petty's been recommended multiple times
Wow.
already.
Really? That's not a bad idea
It's
either.
not a bad idea at all.
No, because he does his own show that's very similar. Where we
God, he'd be fantastic, actually.
he would.
What a great idea.
Good job, chat.
All right, shut the chat down now. We just got our guy.
Wait, keep him coming.
No, I know.
I got a couple more days off. I want.
Yeah. So Tony Stewart's been recommended too. He'll
Yeah.
have to come do it. Jimmy Spencer, Kurt Busch, Corey LaJoy,
Not sure about those choices.
Ward Burton.
As hosts.
As a
people,
host?
As hosts, not guests.
They're firing off.
Yeah.
Dale Jarrett was on there too. That probably a good one. Kenny Wallace.
Well, Kenny would be cool because you'd have to. But if you pick the guests that he'd be interviewing, because I think a Kenny Wallace interviewing Kenny Schrader would be a hell of a show.
God
Yeah.
almighty, yeah,
Yeah.
it would be. Holy crap. They wouldn't have us back. I think the fans would just say, y'all stay gone. I think they would.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd disagree with them. Kenny Wallace and Ken Schrader, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Well,
Anybody else there, Jason?
They want Kelly back on as a co-host.
Yeah.
And speaking of
Yeah.
Kelly, she's actually got Nicole in the window.
Yeah, she does.
Where?
Out in the shop,
All
looking
right.
at us.
Yeah.
I was coming over here to do this live, and I thought I'm gonna bring Isla because Isla loves to come to the shop. Mike insisted I bring them both, so Nicole's here.
We had fun. We were playing with Nicole.
Yeah.
After she warms up a little bit, she's fun.
She did.
Takes
She-
a
she
little while.
Took a while.
She wasn't your biggest fan at the start.
So
Or yours.
what
I won her over quicker than you.
Jason, what do the fans want to know about the podcast that we haven't
Yeah.
talked about yet? Is there anything out there that what do they want to know?
I think we talked about the name. They were wondering about the name and suggesting different names and
Yeah.
whether Denny suggested that, as we said
We,
earlier.
I don't even know if we've said the name. It's Actions Detrimental with Denny Hamlin.
I
Have we
love
said the
that.
name? Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Right. If I
Go ahead.
So he was penalized unknowingly to everyone for saying. So there was a race, I believe it was at Phoenix with the car tomorrow. Denny complained about the car and how it drove. Brian France took that as, hey, you're talking about the product. That's a no-no. And he fined him, or Denny was given a fine that was not made public. And then Denny or someone somehow broke the news that he had been fined. We all learn about this days later. And the fine and I think Denny. Hey,
Come on
you
in.
can come in here.
Come on.
Come on in.
I think Denny said on, the fine said actions detrimental. And so, say hello.
Hi, Nicole.
Hey. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, that was the that was what they said, actions detrimental. And he's like, I don't even, what is that? So I believe that's where he's kind of hung on. Just like I told you, man, drivers get their feathers ruffled over something and get annoyed by something, they cannot let it go. And so somewhere in there, he's still hanging on to that, and that's still
Right.
that still rubs him the wrong way. And so, he came up with that. And I'm like, that's perfect. That's perfect. We had all these other names that we really liked and stuff, but nothing's as good as that one because there's a connection, right? There's a personal agenda there, and it's a way for him to, even after all these years where he feels like he was wronged, it's a way for him to continue to sort of dig back.
If that's what he's doing, I don't know that he is.
Of course he is.
There may be. It may be.
Maybe.
The-
maybe
the-
I
part
also,
of it.
but I'm telling you,
The name itself, the name of the podcast itself, coming from Denny, his idea, is absolutely a little dig.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm only saying that I also think there's some self-deprecating. I think he admits when he has done detrimental actions, and I'm telling you, his set will vouch for that.
Yeah.
Right.
I think his set is going to suggest that he's also had his detrimental moments.
Right.
Right. Again, he's owning it.
How long is the show going to be? People are wondering.
That's a great question.
We haven't.
It's up to him.
Yeah, we haven't put a time limit
We're-
on him.
Because I've encouraged Denny to understand that there's a honeymoon period and then there's a settle in period and then there's the lull, the summer and everything. And so I hope he shoots for an hour. Let's just say that.
Right.
You know, we used to shoot for an hour. Now I'd love
How's
it,
that
but I don't
working
think
out?
we can get that toothpaste back in the tube at this point. You know, we used to do the Dale Jr. Download in its early days was a half-hour podcast. we ain't even rolling it, you know, at a half hour. My gosh. So, you know, I don't think that he needs to try to do these marathon podcast episodes. It's not sustainable, and I want him to, you know, really kind of develop a rhythm and all that stuff. But look, it's up to him, frankly. If he's got a lot to say,
Yeah.
let him roll.
Some weeks it could go a long time.
Yeah.
Someone made a comment that after the Charlotte 600 he won last year, he was like on Lake Norman at like 5 a.m. People are hoping that he'll do the podcast from the boat at 5 a.m.
Travis
that would
might
be
also
interesting.
hope that he's on the lake for a podcast recording. I don't
Does
know.
Travis have a hot mic?
Yeah, I'm here.
Travis, what are your thoughts? Are you looking forward to this? I mean, you've been with Dirty Mo Media for a few weeks.
Hey, Travis.
How's it going?
We just you moved here from Nashville. We didn't tell you what we were hiring you for, right?
No, I didn't know what show I was working on.
All right, so you did go to the pilot though, and do you have any big thoughts or anything you're worried about?
No, I enjoyed it. To Tiff's point, Jared pushed back a couple times, made Denny answer a question on some things, and so I enjoyed it. I am going to require, I think, if we're taping at 10 p.m., I'm allowed to drink on the job. Is that okay?
Sure.
I mean,
guess.
yeah, I get. We'll see what the podcast
Yeah.
sounds like. I mean, I think that there's a.
Maybe there's a line between while he's listening, as long as all the cameras are on, and when he's editing the podcast. I don't know.
There's no
I don't know
line
how
on
that
DBC, so I guess it's
Have we ever had a producer ask if he can drink during the show? I mean, I don't think we've ever had this.
I don't know.
I'm not
either.
saying
Jake-
producers haven't drinking during the show before.
That's right.
You're right.
There's certainly been producers that are being led to drink.
We've set a bad
peer pressure.
precedent. Maybe
Yeah.
is what
Well,
I'm hearing.
Travis, I would say that take it up with your head of content. That's what you're going to need to do.
That's how Mike passes off every decision he doesn't want to
Dude, can I just say, you're already going to take off the Masters week. Is that right?
I'm glad we're calling him out for this
Yes.
right now.
We talked about this in the interview process
And-
right here in this room.
And you said if I am really into it, I might not need a leave.
Right.
Yeah.
I
where
thought
did
you
that
said
go?
you weren't going to take it.
No, I said I would use my own, and you said it's your PTO. You can use it how you want to.
You
When
did,
that's
you
true,
did say that.
We just
said
didn't think
this.
you would do it.
We discussed this
Right.
in this room
We
in the
thought-
interview process before you offered the job.
Travis is playing in the Masters, by the way. That's
Yeah.
a big deal.
All right. Well, look, Travis, you go enjoy your Masters, but just be like Dale said. The fear of handing the keys over to somebody is they may be better. Whoever we get to fill in the seat of the producer I think there's a lot of people out there that would love to be the person, right? Jason, are they in the chat?
Yeah, they want Ross Chastain to do it.
This isn't for an on-camera
Right.
position.
No,
This
he
is
would
for the
produce it.
producer.
It'd be very entertaining.
So while you're out there, at the Masters eating pimento cheese sandwiches,
No, I don't think those are actually that good, so I don't eat those.
what do you eat at the Masters?
The chicken club or the pulled pork,
Okay.
and then the sausage and biscuit in the mornings.
Not to get too distracted here, but I'm curious to see if Augusta National's prices go up because they're notorious for having those, very fair and cheap concession prices. But now how the supply chain has changed everything else, I'm just kind of patiently waiting. But I don't want you to be the one to tell me. I wanted you to be here doing the Denny show, but that's not happening.
We can discuss that.
Hey, dude, I do all my discussions live.
Right.
That's how this is.
There's a few people asking if we'll do any more like live shows at the track or live appearances at the racetrack this year. I wonder if we got any of that coming down.
Live
the pipeline.
appearances. Well, we're doing the Ultimate Experience. Go to dirtymomedia.com right now and buy your ticket. There's a few left. That's going to be at Las Vegas on March
Fifth?
5th. But are you asking about live shows?
Yeah, they're asking for live shows. Like DBC did some appearances
Yeah.
at the track last year, but I think the best way to do it would be go to our Ultimate Experiences, and we'll have a few more of those after
Yeah.
Vegas too.
Yeah, if people want them. I mean, we're here for the people, right?
Right.
We're here for the masses. Ultimate Experiences are a lot of fun. Are you going to go with us this year, Tiff? Are you going to Vegas?
Don't drag
Put her
me
on the
back to
spot.
Vegas.
I do all my dealings live on
I know,
YouTube.
I see how this is going to go
That's how you
down.
did backs you in a corner. Makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Live on YouTube.
I've been to Vegas so many times in my life, and if I never went again, I would be perfectly fine
Yeah,
with that.
I'm with you.
but
How many buildings have you jumped off in Vegas?
Just the one so far.
God, it's crazy. Tiff rappelled? Skydived? What did you
It's
do?
definitely not
Bungeed?
skydiving.
Did you
I guess they
bungee?
call it bungee jumping off the stratosphere.
Yeah. And she was unimpressed.
Unimpressed.
did not get her heartbeat going at all. She was unimpressed, underwhelmed. Anything else, Jason, in the chat that we need to address?
People are excited that Dale's doing the Cars owner.
Hey, yeah.
Joining the group.
Yeah.
on there.
Congrats on that.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the Cars Tour, late model stock series. They have the pro late models as well. 18 races they run throughout the year around short tracks in the Mid-Atlantic region. We've been car owners and raced in the series for a decade, and just investing to keep it healthy and keep it going, not changing a thing. Love what it is, love the identity and how it runs. Jack, the owner, or the current owner or past owner, is going to continue to run the day-to-day with Keeley, his employee. So she's done an amazing job. So, anyways, we're excited about it. Jeff Burton, if you've been under a rock, I guess, Jeff Burton, Justin Marks, and Kevin Harvick and I all invested in the series. And obviously, it's going to be part of North Wilkesboro All-Star Week again this year. We ran at North Wilkesboro last year. We're going to do that again. I'm going to drive the Sundrop car again in that race. So, hopefully, there'll be some more Cup guys in that late model stock event. There'll be a super late model event. The trucks are racing that week. For the All-Star race, big week. I'll be running some more late model stock races this year, hopefully. Maybe, I think 3, maybe more.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do we want to address anything about the Dale Jr. download? And February 7th is our first
7th,
show
yeah.
back.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it. Are you
That's
looking
going to
forward
be
to
a
it?
big week.
It's going to be a big week.
We've got a lot of shows
Yeah.
starting back up.
That's right.
And, there's I'm looking forward to getting back in the swing of things. I think we've, so much has changed about the company and the brand over the past couple of months. And some great, incredible new hires and a lot of growth. And obviously this announcement with Denny and Actions Detrimental is a good indicator of that growth, and we've got some even better, exciting, or maybe not better, but even more equally exciting news coming down the pipe.
Soon.
More growth, more
That's true.
more content coming your way, things that still we haven't shared with everyone that we're going to have this year. So door up and clear, those guys are geared up, ready to go. They're sharp.
We think.
Yeah.
Has anybody talked to them?
Haven't heard from him, but
Yeah.
We think that. We hope they are.
I see them chattering away on
Yep.
social
Good.
media.
Yeah.
So I
Brett's
assume-
quit everything from his day-to-day NASCAR job, so
He's
I
got
hope he
time.
hasn't quit the podcast.
I'm excited about this year in terms of Dirty Mo Media and all the great things that we're going to be providing for everyone.
Like you said, we are not done announcing new shows, and that's going to.
I was wondering whether you want to allow, want to even
Hint at
say
it?
that much.
Well,
right? Even say that.
I think
much.
that's enough.
We're ready to say that, and that's about all.
The-
Yeah.
All right.
Tiff's
Yeah.
giving me looks. She's like, "That's all you're allowed to
That's
say."
all you're allowed to say.
I cannot. I was excited and thrilled about the Denny Hamlin announcement and the reaction to that, but we're not done.
We're not done.
We're not done.
Jason,
I think people are excited. They could also check out Next Level with Ken Squire. We got some of those
Dude.
interviews
Yeah.
and videos and podcasts out right now to hold them over for the last few weeks before the season starts.
I've been so thrilled about the way Next Level has developed, and man, the Ken Squire stuff, it's been fantastic. I really appreciate the fact that he gave us as much time as he did.
Yeah.
He gave us a whole weekend. So
We talk about Ken Squire all the time on the podcast, and people have asked for us to bring him in here. But honestly, I think the Next Level did that more justice than we could have.
absolutely.
It
did.
goes so in depth on
does.
Yeah.
his stories and career
Yeah.
life.
So, if you haven't heard about Next Level, great new content we have, and go check out what's the plan for Next Level in 2023.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Next Level is first, it's a video series. So we're about to drop a bunch of those Ken Squire nuggets on our YouTube channel. So be looking for that. That's coming in the next week or two.
Yep.
And there's a lot of them. The podcast idea evolved just in the past few months, and Andrew Curlin is so talented. And I am really excited the fact that he's coming on full time.
Yeah.
Andrew
Me too.
Curlin, we've finally got him graduated from college. And, he's moving from Arizona or Illinois. He's living
All over
Both.
the place.
yeah, he's living with Jason Schultz and the 17 other people that they all cram into one apartment.
Hey, great when you have 17 people splitting rent.
Right. So Andrew Curlin's on his way, but he has done a fantastic job. It's a different listening experience than anything else we have, and it's so in depth. And Andrew can tell a story, man. He spins a web as good as anybody. So I'm excited about what next level is. He's going to probably go and get 5, 6 big long form interviews. He's going to go to them a year, 5 or 6 a year. Ken Squires this year. He did do Jimmy Johnson. We didn't get quite the time we would have wanted with Jimmy, but we did a video drop with him last year. Ken Squire was up. We've got some big targets that Andrew is going after, and that's what that series is going to be. He's going to go to them. He's going to spend, quality time and really get to know the people, which is something that we're just not able to do when they're coming into our studio, right? So, yeah, I'm pumped about it.
Andrew came up to me when he was a little boy with his dad and a camera and a microphone, asked to interview me in the pits or the garage somewhere at a race. And his eagerness and just he's got this, this sort of energy that's really fun to be around, and incredible to see him work so hard. And I love the fact that we have him in the family, so to speak, because I think he's incredibly talented and going to be around for a long time. So I love the Ken Squire stuff, and it's very rich. That interview with Squire was incredible, and he's patient and got a lot of great content. One of the things that we've had discussions about is the Dale Jr. Download, and we're always trying to make sure that that thing's hitting on all cylinders, and they're through the off season, every off season we talk about improvements, changes, adjustments, opinions, and thoughts. Any of that you want to talk about, Mike? Because we've
I'd be happy to talk about it. Listen,
kind of considered some.
Yeah. We're gonna basically, and I want everybody to hear me on this because we've really taken a lot of feedback from our listeners. They're the most important people. We also are trying to give you. There's 2 big things. One is people would love us to have a daily show. Of course, we'd have a daily show.
Right.
That probably not going to happen.
Right.
But we can get close. We can get close.
Say that.
Hold up. Probably not going to happen right now.
Right now, one day.
But right, yeah, one
Yeah.
day. But it'd have to be one day a ways away.
Right.
So the other thing is people want us to be on TV, our whole show on television. But we know that the NBC property there, they usually just take our guest interview. We're going to be trying some stuff this year, and we're doing it because I think it's a fantastic idea. One is we're basically going to come to you 3 times a week. The Dale Jr. Download will come to you 3 times a week. It'll come to you on Tuesday. It'll come to you on Wednesday. It'll come to you on Thursday. That's the good news. We're going to have Tuesday's show is dedicated solely to reacting and basically what people know is our Dirty Air segment. It is going to be our Tuesday show. We'll go half hour, 45 minutes, however long. To be honest with you, this is what I've always thought the Dale Jr. Download was, and that is not depending on just who the guest is, but depending on what Dale Jr. has to say about life, about topic. And it could be anything. It doesn't even have to be about the race. But we know that a lot of times, especially during the broadcast season, I'm waiting to hear what Dale has to say about stuff. I want to know. And I'm not talking to him on Monday or Sunday after the race because I'm trying to save it for the show. And we've learned that is it's a special value. And so Tuesdays, you're going to have us all Dirty Air. Wednesdays will be our guest. Our guest interview, we're going to move everything out of the way and let that breathe. And on Thursdays, we're going to have a bunch of other segments. And Dale, you and I have talked about a segment that we're going to do and an idea that we've got to do. Something that was first planted to us by Mike Joy when he was on, and that was about the 24 hours of lemons, not Lamar. Yeah. And we're going to be able to do additional segments and stuff that you're going to enjoy, and that's going to be on Thursday. 3 times a week, the Dale Jr. Download. This is giving them what they want.
Almost getting to a daily show.
Almost.
So there'll be 3 episodes of the Dale Jr. Download, 3 separate episodes of the Dale Jr. Download each week. And that's exciting to me. I talked to you, and I was like, man, the first the first show back, I didn't even want to have a guest. I just wanted to sit down and just everybody, let's just all talk about what we've been doing
Absolutely.
and everything we think about what's happening right now. And you were like, well, we're gonna do that in a roundabout way.
I'm glad you said that, Dale.
So,
'Cause-
yeah.
That works out great.
And we talked also. I think you mentioned it, but not really in detail. Or we're gonna possibly do more live
right,
content,
right.
Yep.
live episodes.
I would
And
be
so-
curious if people want Dirty Air to be live,
Yeah, I would love to do it live one time just to see.
just to see how much we regret it.
No, because just like right now, so being able to go to a message board, being able to go somewhere to get feedback. Hey, what have we not talked about? What question does
Right.
does Bob have about our discussion? And because I want to answer everything that's on their mind, and if there's a reoccurring thing coming down the pipe in the chat room or whatever, we need to be able to get to that. I hate the fact that I hate the fact that sometimes our listeners are hearing us, but they can't engage,
Right.
right? And they're like, wait, ask this question. When are you going to ask him that? That's the obvious thing to say right now. We need that. We need them to have that line of communication to us to help us, right? And so that would be awesome. I've always wanted to try to figure out how to get to a live show. I've always wanted to eventually find a way to get to where we're doing everything in the moment and people can absorb it live, right? So there is that audience interaction and you feel that energy when you're doing the show. It's just, that's why the Ask Junior's one of my favorite parts of the shows because that's when everybody comes into the room, right?
That's right. So yeah, I think that this is us getting closer to a daily show and getting closer to where people can consume our content fully, right? And so yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yep.
Be fun.
Cool, man. Well,
Jason, Tiff, what do y'all think? Close her down?
Let's do it.
All right. I think we covered it.
Yeah,
Thanks
we
for
covered a
tuning
lot.
in.
Yeah.
Big announcement. More on the way.
Had a Nicole cameo.
Appreciate y'all. Had a Nicole cameo. Yeah.
I mean, hard to beat that.
Won't get any
Won't
negative
get-
responses while she was on.
That's right.
I promise you that.
That's right. So, all right.
all right, everybody.
Thanks, y'all.
See you later.